Hi, my name is Heather Brandstetter. I'm in the Historic Wallace Preservation Society office. I'm the executive director here. Wallace, Idaho is a tiny, tiny town. It's got about 800 people in it year-round. We have a pretty busy tourist season from May through October, but really we're known as a historic town. We were built on the mining industry, and that is still a strong aspect of our economy, and we are beautiful. It's set in the middle of the woods. We're about midpoint between Spokane, Washington and Missoula, Montana. I was born and raised in the Silver Valley is what we call it, and it's kind of a collection of several towns. In the book, Selling Sex in the Silver Valley, I document the history of prostitution from 1884 to 1991. We are pretty significant in that prostitution was out in the open and also illegal at the same time. Majority of the residents in town supported the industry. The police helped to regulate it, and everybody in town pretty much adopted it as a part of our identity as a mining town. In the year 2010, when I started the research, I talked to the director of the mining museum, and he said that people who come in to visit want to know about the mining history, but then number two, they want to know about the history of sex work because that's what Wallace was known for. What the conclusion I came to, one of the big conclusions anyway, was that the madams really contributed a lot to the community and conducted their business like a legitimate profession. And so the townspeople embraced it as a legitimate profession. One discovery that was very significant was that the former sheriff had 531 files on all of the women who worked in the houses from 1952 until 1973. He gave them to his wife with instructions to burn them, and she didn't. And these were an amazing resource. This is like the most significant data that we have available. I really started the research with mixed feelings on sex work as a thing to do. I guess I thought, it could be a fine thing and it could be a really horrible thing. And through the course of researching, I think that it is both, and it depends on the situation that you're in. But after talking with sex workers, they all say that if we could legalize prostitution, it would make it so much better for the women who are involved in it. And that's what we had in Wallace, essentially, was a decriminalized system. They say it was clean, it was well regulated by the police, there weren't diseases, and they were a classy operation that contributed a lot of money to the community. I tried to be representative. I tried to represent, just regular community members. I tried to represent minors' perspectives. I tried to get intimate understanding of how the houses worked, like people who worked in the houses and the men who were customers. Some people weren't willing to participate in the research because they wanted the past to remain in the past. Even though I started on the project in 2010, it wasn't like I was working on it, consecutively all these years until last year. And I hadn't thought about, being able to actually write a very specific history of prostitution in the Silver Valley and have as the goal be to preserve the local history of the area. And so that was kind of the mission of the History Press. I was really excited about that because that meant that I could preserve the project as I really wanted to write it and have it serve the community and do a service. I organized the book according to 3 different ways that I wanted to tell the story of Wallace. So the first part is kind of a more traditional history. The second part is sort of my take on the written history. And then the third part is oral histories. And I tried to kind of stay out of that part. And so you get a perspective of Wallace through 3 different lenses. And then you also kind of move through the history of town in a chronological way as those lenses shift. And I actually think that that the book kind of builds momentum as it goes on. So the popular audience is probably going to get a bigger kick out of like the 3rd section, where it's really an intimate look at the life of Wallace and its history of prostitution through the people who experienced it.